The lavender shortbread tin strikes my chest with a force that takes my breath away. I look down in disbelief at the crumbs scattered across my cardigan, my mind struggling to comprehend what just happened. Did my 48-year-old daughter really just throw baked goods at me during a family dinner? Before we continue, take a moment to leave a comment and tell us where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that highlight the silent strength in all of us. I raise my gaze to see Sophia's face, flushed with righteous anger. Her manicured finger jabs accusingly in my direction. Around the table, the stunned expressions quickly morph into judgmental stares, all aimed at me, not at the woman who just hurled a cookie tin at her elderly mother. You've always been selfish, mother, Sophia spits, her words like daggers. At your age, you should be grateful we're even considering your future. I brush the shortbread crumbs from my blouse, my hands trembling, not from fear, but from a rage that's been simmering for decades. Let me take a step back. I thought I was doing everything right. Work hard, save money, be responsible. That's what adults do, right? That's what I've told myself for the past 5 decades. My name is Elizabeth Winters, 72 years old, widowed, and as of 2 weeks ago, the proud owner of my dream garden nursery. When my husband, Thomas, passed away 3 years ago, he left me a modest life insurance policy. Not enough to change my life, but enough to finally pursue a dream I had shelved for 40 years. Thomas and I worked hard all our lives. After we paid off our mortgage, I lived frugally, grew my own vegetables, and turned down the senior cruises my friends couldn't stop posting about on Facebook. While they were off to Alaska or buying new cars, I worked part-time at the library, tucking every extra dollar into my savings. So, when I had enough $85,000 to be exact, I bought my dream nursery outright. No loans, no debt, just mine. It's a half-acre plot with a quaint greenhouse, about 15 minutes from my house. The neighborhood isn't fancy, but it's well-loved by gardening enthusiasts. The previous owners let it fall into disrepair, and the greenhouse needs reglazing. But I'm not bothered by that. I've been doing the renovations myself to save money. YouTube tutorials have become my evening entertainment. I'm in the middle of clearing overgrown garden beds when my phone rings. It's Sophia. Mom. Dear, I need you to come over next Saturday for a family meeting, she says, her voice adopting that fake, casual tone she uses when something's up. Family meeting? What's going on? I ask, immediately suspicious as I pause my work. Oh, it's a surprise, she replies. Just make sure you're here by 4 and bring one of those lavender shortbreads you make so well. Sophia, seriously, what is this about? I press her. It's just a little family gathering, she assures me. Your granddaughter, Melissa, will be there with her husband. I feel the weight of the situation pressing down on me. What's really going on? And I've invited Uncle William and his kids, too, Sophia says casually, as if it's no big deal. That definitely raises my eyebrows. The whole extended family for a little gathering? I wasn't expecting that. Mom, it's a secret. Surprise. Just be here, okay? She insists, before quickly hanging up. I shrug, brushing off whatever drama she's plotting. I've got my own work to focus on. My nursery needs my attention, and that's the priority today. Sophia can handle whatever she's up to on her own. Sophia, now 48, has been married to Lucas for about 20 years. They live in a grand suburban house, and by all accounts, their life is more than comfortable. Unlike me, she's always had it a bit easier. In high school, she was the homecoming queen while I spent my teenage years juggling work after school. She earned a business degree with our financial support, while I worked extra shifts just to help pay for it. It never seemed to bother Thomas, though. He never questioned the sacrifices I made. When Sophia was growing up, she was always the center of attention. Thomas adored her, his only child. If she wanted dance lessons, piano lessons, or to attend cheerleading camps, we always found a way to pay for it. When braces were needed, I took on a second job. At 16, Sophia wanted a car, and despite my concerns about our finances, Thomas bought her one. I'll never forget her college graduation when Thomas presented her with a diamond bracelet worth more than our entire mortgage payment. When I questioned the price, he simply said she deserves something special, as though the education we'd already paid for wasn't enough. But I've never been the type to cause a scene. I just worked harder, saved more, and made sure I could stand on my own 2 feet. The week flies by as I continue working on my nursery. I've managed to clear all the garden beds, and now I'm starting to plan which heirloom plants I'll specialize in. Looking at the progress I've made, I feel a deep sense of accomplishment despite the aches in my aging joints. Saturday morning arrives, and I wake up early to finish potting some rare dahlias before heading to Sophia's house. I prepare the lavender shortbread she asked for, packing it carefully in my favorite tin. As I drive to her home, I can't help but wonder what this family meeting is all about. When I pull into the driveway, I see several cars already parked, including my brother-in-law William's sedan and my granddaughter Melissa's SUV. Whatever this is about, it's definitely a full family affair, I mutter under my breath. I take a deep breath, grab the cookie tin, and head inside. Mom's here. Sophia calls out as soon as I walk through the door. She greets me with a quick hug and takes the tin from my hands. Perfect timing. We're just about to sit down, she adds with a smile. I glance around the living room. Melissa and her husband are sitting on the couch, their hands intertwined, whispering to each other. William is talking with his oldest son in the corner, while Sophia's other children are heading toward the dining room. What's going on? I ask Melissa as I approach her. She gives me a mysterious smile and says, "You'll see." That certainly doesn't ease my growing sense of unease. The food is passed around: pot roast, mashed potatoes, green beans, and the lavender shortbread I brought is placed at the center of the table for dessert. Everyone engages in small talk, though the tension in the air is palpable, and no one dares mention the obvious elephant in the room. Finally, after everyone has filled their plates, Sophia stands up and taps her glass with a spoon. "I want to thank you all for coming today," she says, her smile a bit too wide, as she glances at Melissa. "We have some wonderful news to share with you all." Sophia stands at the head of the table, her expression now stretched unnaturally wide as she continues, "Our dear Melissa is moving back to town." The room erupts in cheers and congratulations. Melissa blushes, and her husband wraps an arm around her shoulders. "And they're looking for a place to settle down permanently," Sophia announces, her voice filled with excitement. I clap along with everyone else, genuinely happy for my granddaughter despite the complicated family dynamics. "Congratulations, Melissa," I say, smiling at her across the table. But Sophia isn't finished. She exchanges a brief glance with William and Melissa before turning to me, her expression making my stomach drop. "That's not all," she says, her voice cutting through the chatter. We all fall silent. The room shifts and everyone's attention is now focused on Sophia, my attention included. "As you all know, Mom recently bought herself a nursery," Sophia continues, gesturing toward me. The relatives nod in acknowledgement, some of them offering congratulations that were noticeably absent when I first shared the news 2 weeks ago. "Mom is 72 years old and alone," Sophia presses on. "No dad. No partner to help with the physical labor. That nursery is too much work for someone her age." My face grows hot at her words. What does my age have to do with anything? I'm still more than capable of handling my own. But before I can speak, Sophia keeps going, her tone growing smoother, more rehearsed. "Melissa, on the other hand," she says, "has always dreamed of running a garden center. She and her husband need a new project now that they're moving back." I feel my heart begin to pound in my chest. I glance at Melissa and her husband. They're both staring intently at their plates, avoiding my gaze. Sophia turns to me, her smile now sharp, her words sharp as a knife. "Mom," she continues, "this is your chance to show how much you love your granddaughter, how generous and kind you are. I think you should give your new nursery to Melissa and her husband." Silence falls over the room. I stare at my daughter in disbelief, waiting for the punchline to this horrible joke, but it never comes. "You can go back to your community garden plot," Sophia adds casually, as if she's not asking me to give away the $85,000 nursery I worked so hard for. "You don't need all that responsibility at your age." I look around the table. William nods in agreement with Sophia, his expression unreadable. Finally, Melissa meets my eyes, her face a mixture of embarrassment and expectation. "That's a wonderful idea," she says softly. My nephew chimes in from the corner. Family should always come first. Several other relatives nod in agreement. This isn't a spontaneous suggestion. This is a planned ambush. You're not serious, I manage to say, my voice trembling. Of course I am, Sophia replies, her voice hardening. Your granddaughter needs it more than you do. I stand up slowly, my chair scraping against the floor, the tension in the room thickening. Let me get this straight, I say, my voice rising. You want me to give Melissa my nursery? The nursery I worked part-time for years to afford? The nursery I just bought with money from your father's insurance and my savings? You want me to just hand it over because Melissa wants it? Mom. William cuts in, his tone warning me to back down. Don't be selfish. Selfish. I laugh, the sound hollow even to my own ears. I worked for that nursery. Every single penny. No one helped me. But Melissa needs it, Sophia starts, but I cut her off. No, I say firmly, my voice steady. Absolutely not. I will not give my nursery to Melissa. It's mine. I earned it. Melissa bursts into tears, her hand dramatically pressed against her chest. Her husband glares at me as if I've just kicked a puppy. How can you be so heartless? Sophia demands, her face flushing with anger. Your own granddaughter. How can you ask me to give away everything I've worked for? I count her as I speak, my words steady despite the chaos. Melissa should work and save like I did, I say, my voice unshaken. The relatives begin whispering among themselves. I hear phrases like so materialistic and always was the difficult one. You've always been like this, Sophia spits. Always thinking only of yourself. I'm not giving her my nursery, I repeat, my tone firm. End of discussion. What happens next still plays in my mind in slow motion. Sophia grabs the shortbread tin I brought, the one that had been sitting untouched in the center of the table, and hurls it at me with unexpected force. It strikes me square in the chest, the cookies shattering and scattering across my blouse. The room goes deathly silent. I slowly brush the crumbs from my cardigan, letting the pieces fall to the floor as my hands tremble. Sophia and William don't look horrified or shocked. Instead, they seem almost pleased, as though this is the moment they've been waiting for, like I've finally gotten what I deserve. Without saying a word, I grab my purse and keys, and with shortbread still clinging to my clothes, I walk out the door. Behind me, the shouting begins. Stubborn old woman, Sophia's voice calls after me. We're just trying to help you, William adds, his tone defensive. How could you do this to me? I hear Melissa wail from behind me, but I don't stop. I get into my car, my hands shaking so badly I can barely turn the key. As I drive home, I feel something stirring within me, a feeling I haven't experienced in decades, pure, undiluted rage. It's not just at Sophia. It's at myself for allowing this disrespectful pattern to go on for so long. When I arrive home, I don't cry. Instead, I do something none of them would have expected. I march straight to my home office, pull out the key to the fireproof lockbox that Thomas insisted we keep, and begin searching through decades of financial records. If Sophia wants to play hardball, she's about to learn that her mild-mannered mother has been keeping score all along. The next morning, the bruise where the tin hit me still aches, a small purple mark, a visible reminder of Sophia's outburst. My phone buzzes constantly with text messages and missed calls, family members expressing their disappointment in my selfishness. I turn it off and spread Thomas's financial records across my kitchen table. Thomas was always meticulous with our finances, tax returns, loan documents, property deeds. Everything was neatly labeled and organized chronologically. I had never paid much attention to the finances while he was alive. He handled the money, and I trusted him completely. Now, as I sift through the papers, I realize that trust may have been misplaced. 3 hours into my search, I stumble upon a loan agreement from 15 years ago. Sophia and Lucas had come to us needing money for a down payment on their house, the very house where Sophia had thrown shortbread at me. Thomas had loaned them $65,000 from our retirement savings with the agreement that they would pay it back within 10 years. The document reveals that with interest, they now owe nearly $95,000. There's no record of any repayment. I dig deeper and find more. $25,000 for Sophia's failing boutique venture. $15,000 for Melissa's private school tuition. $8,000 for a family vacation to Hawaii. One I wasn't invited to because someone had to stay behind to watch the dog. All loans, all unpaid, all taken from our retirement savings without my knowledge. By lunchtime, I've tallied over $200,000 in unpaid loans to Sophia and her family. Money that should have been part of my retirement. Money that could have been used to buy a larger nursery or fund a comfortable retirement for years to come. I sit back stunned. No wonder Thomas was so anxious about money in his final years. He had been giving it all away to Sophia without telling me, especially in his last months when he was too weak to manage the finances. I'd wondered why our savings seemed so much less than I expected. Now, the realization hits me like a physical blow. Thomas betrayed me financially for years, and Sophia was complicit in it. My phone buzzes again. I reluctantly turn it on to see a text from Sophia. Mom, you're being ridiculous. Melissa's heartbroken. We're coming over tomorrow to discuss this like adults. Like adults. After she threw shortbread at me. I text back, I'm busy tomorrow. I'll call you when I'm ready to talk. Then I turn off my phone again, my thoughts racing, and reach for my address book. There's a name in there I haven't said in years. Martin Keller, Thomas's attorney. I think it's time I sought some legal advice of my own. Martin's office looks almost exactly the same as it did 15 years ago. The same leather chairs, the same framed diplomas on the wall, and the same smell of furniture polish mixed with the scent of old books. Martin himself has aged. His hair is now completely white, but his handshake is still as firm as ever. Elizabeth, he says warmly, it's been too long. I was deeply sorry to hear about Thomas. Thank you, Martin, I reply, settling into the chair across from his desk. I appreciate you seeing me on such short notice. Of course. What can I help you with today? I pull out the folder containing the loan documents and place it on his desk. I need to know if these are legally binding. Martin opens the folder, his brow furrowing as he flips through the papers. His expression grows more concerned with every page. These are all loans to Sophia, he asks, his voice tinged with disbelief. Yes, I only discovered them yesterday. Thomas never told me about them. Martin adjusts his glasses and continues reading, his face growing more serious. The documentation is solid. These are properly executed promissory notes, signed by both Sophia and her husband. The terms are clear, including interest rates and repayment schedules. So, they are legally enforceable. Absolutely. I confirm, my heart sinking a little. Did Sophia make any payments on these loans? He asks, looking up from the papers. None that I can find. And these records, I tap the folder, are all I have left of Thomas's financial management. Martin leans back in his chair, steepling his fingers. Elizabeth, may I speak frankly? Please do. Thomas was my client for over 30 years. He was a good man in many ways, but he had a blind spot when it came to Sophia. I advised him against several of these loans, especially the larger ones. I was concerned about the impact on your retirement. I nod, not at all surprised. Thomas always gave Sophia whatever she wanted, no matter the cost. Yes, he did. I say, my voice tinged with bitterness. Martin sighs. Elizabeth, these loans are legally binding. As Thomas's widow and the executor of his estate, you have every right to demand repayment. However, I should warn you, family financial disputes can get messy. Are you prepared for that? I think of the shortbread tin hitting my chest, of Sophia's smug face as she demanded I give away my nursery, of decades spent putting everyone else's needs before my own. Yes, Martin, I'm prepared. Then let me draft a formal demand letter. We'll give Sophia 30 days to respond with a repayment plan. If she doesn't, we can consider further legal action. As I leave Martin's office, I feel lighter than I have in years. For the first time in a long time, I'm fighting back. The sweet, accommodating Elizabeth that everyone has taken advantage of for decades is gone. In her place stands a woman who finally understands her own worth. 3 days later, the demand letter arrives at Sophia's house, sent by certified mail requiring a signature. I imagine her face as she reads it, the smug expression giving way to shock, and then panic as she realizes the financial hole she's in. Sure enough, Within hours of the letter's delivery, my phone rings. Mom. Sophia's voice crackles with panic. What is this? Some kind of joke? It's not a joke, Sophia. I reply, my tone calm but firm. Those are legal documents showing the money you borrowed from your father and me over the years. Money that was supposed to be repaid. But Dad gave me that money, she protests. He wanted me to have it. He loaned you that money. I correct her, my voice steady. And you signed agreements promising to pay it back. This is because of the nursery, isn't it? Sophia's voice rises, sharp and defensive. You're punishing me because I suggested you give it to Melissa. You didn't suggest anything, Sophia, I say evenly. You demanded I give away my property, then threw a tin of cookies at me when I refused. I was upset, she cries. Her words hang in the air, but I don't respond. I know what I need to do now. You embarrass me in front of everyone, Sophia snaps, her words sharp and biting. By not giving away my nursery, the property I paid for with my own money. How exactly did that embarrass you? I ask, genuinely confused. Sophia's voice lowers to a hiss, laced with anger. Listen to me, Mother. If you pursue this, things will get very ugly. I will make sure everyone knows what a vindictive, heartless woman you are. I surprise myself by responding with calmness. Feel free. The loan documents speak for themselves. If you'd like to discuss a repayment plan, I'm open to that. Otherwise, my lawyer will proceed as outlined in the letter. You wouldn't dare sue your own daughter, she retorts, her voice dripping with disdain. I didn't think my own daughter would throw things at me, I reply. Yet here we are. Without another word, she hangs up, and I'm left with the familiar sound of silence. I expect her next move to be rallying the family against me. And sure enough, within days, the phone calls begin. Relatives start calling, all expressing their concern about my mental state, suggesting perhaps I should consider getting help. William is the most direct. Elizabeth, he says, his tone urgent, this vendetta against Sophia has to stop. Thomas wanted her to have that money. You know that if Thomas wanted her to have the money, William, I interrupt, my voice steady, he wouldn't have had her sign loan documents promising to pay it back with interest. He would have given it to her as a gift. You're being overly technical, William counters. No, I reply, I'm being accurate. There's a difference. Even my granddaughter Melissa calls. Her voice is thick with tears. Grandma, please stop this. Mom and Dad are so upset. They might lose the house. They won't lose the house if they pay back what they borrowed, I say gently. And Melissa, why didn't you ever ask me if I wanted to give you my nursery? You let your mother ambush me. I didn't know she was going to do that, Melissa admits, her voice small and apologetic. I thought we were just going to ask if I could work there with you. That gives me pause. Is that true? Yes, Melissa sniffles. I do love plants, and I thought it would be nice to spend time with you, learn from you. Mom was the one who said you should just give it to me entirely. For the first time since the family dinner, I feel a flicker of softening. Melissa seems sincere, and the burden of what happened feels just a little less heavy. Melissa, I say slowly, if you want to learn about plants, you're welcome to come help me at the nursery. As an employee or apprentice, not an owner. But only if you apologize for your part in that ambush. Really, she asks, hope edging her voice. I would like that. And I am sorry, Grandma. I should have stood up for you. Yes, you should have. I reply, my tone softening. Think about it and let me know. After I hang up, I reflect on Melissa's revelation. If she's telling the truth, Sophia manipulated not just me, but her own daughter as well. The thought hardens my resolve. It's time to take the next step. The nursery is coming along beautifully. Over the past 2 weeks, I've been clearing overgrown beds, repairing irrigation systems, and cataloging the existing plant stock. The physical labor is demanding, but it's satisfying in a way desk work never was. I've even hired a local teenager, Jaden, to help with some of the heavier tasks. Ms. Winters, Jaden calls from the greenhouse. I found another crack in the glass over here. I make my way over, clipboard in hand. Mark it on the diagram, please. We'll need to replace that whole section. Jaden nods, making a note on the greenhouse layout I've sketched. He's a good worker, respectful and thorough. It feels good to see the progress, and for the first time in a long while, I feel in control. I've earned this, and no one, not even my daughter, is going to take it away from me. In just 2 weeks, Jaden has learned more about plants than Sophia ever bothered to in her entire life. As he measures the cracked pane in the greenhouse, he looks up and says, "My grandpa says you're doing good work here. Says this place hasn't looked this good in 20 years. Your grandfather remembers it from before." "Yes, ma'am," Jaden continues. "He used to buy his tomato starts here every spring. Says the last owners let it go to waste. Well, we're bringing it back," I say, a surge of pride swelling within me. This place is going to be special again. As if on cue, my phone rings. It's Martin. "Elizabeth," he says, his tone clipped. "I've received a response from Sophia's attorney." My heart skips a beat. "She hired an attorney?" "Yes, a James Dowell. I know him, aggressive, but not particularly thorough. His letter essentially claims that the loans were gifts and that Thomas indicated as much verbally." "That's not true," I reply firmly. "I know," Martin says. "Unfortunately, the loan documents are clear." I've responded, reiterating our demand for payment and suggesting mediation as an alternative to litigation. "Do you think she'll agree to that?" I ask. "Hard to say," he replies. "But Elizabeth, there's something else you should know. I've been looking into Sophia's financial situation, as you asked. She and Lucas refinanced their house 2 years ago and took out a substantial amount of equity. Their business, the interior design firm, hasn't been doing well. There are tax liens against it." I close my eyes, absorbing this new information. "So, they may not be able to repay the loans." "It might be difficult for them," Martin agrees. "But they do have assets that could be liquidated. The vacation property in Vale, for instance, the vacation home they've never invited me to. The one Thomas helped them buy 10 years ago. Thank you, Martin. Keep me updated." After hanging up, I sit on a nearby bench, contemplating this development. Sophia's financial troubles now make sense. It explains her desperate grab for my nursery. She probably saw it as a potential asset she could leverage or sell. My thoughts are interrupted by the sound of a car pulling into the gravel driveway. I look up, surprised to see Melissa getting out, dressed in jeans and a simple t-shirt, a stark contrast to her usual designer outfits. "Grandma," she calls hesitantly. "Is it okay if I come in?" I nod, watching as she carefully makes her way through the nursery, looking out of place among the dirt and plants. When she finally reaches me, she stops and says, "I came to apologize. What happened at that dinner was wrong. Mom shouldn't have thrown the tin at you, and I shouldn't have let her try to take your nursery." I study her face, looking for any hint of insincerity, but find none. "Thank you for saying that, Melissa," I reply. "I meant what I said about wanting to learn from you." She gestures at the nursery. "This place already looks different, better." "It's a work in progress," I acknowledge. Would you still be willing to let me help?" "I could come a few days a week. I really do want to learn." I consider her request carefully. Is this another one of Sophia's manipulations, sending Melissa to soften me up? Or is my granddaughter genuinely interested? "Melissa," I ask, "why do you want to work here?" She bites her lip, thinking for a moment before answering. "Honestly, partly because I do love plants. I always have, ever since you taught me to grow marigolds when I was little. But also, I need to do something productive with my life. Mom and Dad have always handed me everything. I'm 25 and I've never had a real job. I've never earned anything on my own merit." She looks at me directly. I want to know what that feels like. Her honesty catches me off guard. There's more of me in her than I realized. "All right," I say, nodding. "You can start tomorrow. 7 a.m. Wear clothes you don't mind getting dirty." Melissa's face lights up with excitement. "Really? Thank you, Grandma." As she drives away, I find myself wondering if I'm making a mistake. But something tells me that Melissa's involvement might be the key to resolving this family conflict, though not in the way Sophia intended. The next month passes in a whirlwind of activity. The nursery is coming together beautifully. Newly cleaned beds ready for planting, a partially repaired greenhouse, and fresh gravel laid on the paths. Melissa has proven to be an unexpectedly dedicated worker, showing up every morning eager to learn and unafraid to get her hands dirty. Meanwhile, the legal battle with Sophia has intensified. She's refused mediation, insisting through her attorney that the loans were gifts. In response, Martin has filed a lawsuit, triggering a flurry of activity from Sophia and her supporters. The family has split into two camps. William and most of the cousins side with Sophia, bombarding me with angry calls and messages about how I'm tearing the family apart over money. But surprisingly, a few relatives have quietly reached out to offer their support. One evening, my sister-in-law Janet calls. "Elizabeth, it's Janet," she says, her voice steady but kind. "I want you to know I think you're doing the right thing. Sophia's been taking advantage of you for years." "Thank you, Janet. That means a lot," I respond, my voice thick with emotion. "William doesn't know I'm calling. He's furious with you. But I remember how Thomas would come to us year after year for advice about Sophia's financial demands. He was torn up about it, giving her the money, but knowing it was hurting your future. Why didn't anyone tell me?" I ask, the old hurt resurfacing. Janet sighs. "Thomas asked us not to. He didn't want you to think less of him for not being able to say no to her. He was planning to make it right before he retired, but then the cancer came." I sit back, absorbing her words. I thank Janet for the call, but the weight of this new perspective on Thomas is overwhelming. He had known all along that he was depleting our retirement to fund Sophia's lifestyle, yet he kept it from me. Was that an act of protection or betrayal? Perhaps a bit of both. The lawsuit has also brought some unexpected allies to light. David Chin, Lucas's former business partner, reaches out to Martin, offering crucial information about Sophia and Lucas's financial dealings. Over coffee, David explains they pushed me out of the business 3 years ago. Claimed the company was struggling and couldn't support both partners, but then they immediately bought a vacation home and 2 new cars. I always suspected they were hiding assets. "Do you have any proof?" I ask. "Some," he says. "Enough to show a pattern of financial mismanagement and possible fraud. I'll share what I have, Miss Winters. Your daughter and son-in-law cost me my business. I'm happy to help you get what's rightfully yours." With David's information, Martin strengthens our case, adding claims of fraudulent asset transfer to the lawsuit. The pressure on Sophia is mounting, but nothing prepares me for the anonymous call. "Is this Elizabeth Winters?" a woman's voice asks when I answer the phone one evening. "Yes, it is." "Who's calling?" "Someone who works for the IRS. I can't give you my name, but you should know that your daughter and son-in-law's business is under investigation for tax evasion. It's been going on for 6 months. My blood runs cold. Why are you telling me this? Let's just say I know how it feels to have family take advantage of you. The audit results will be public record in about 2 weeks. You might want to have your lawyer look into it. Good luck." Before I can respond, the line goes dead. I immediately call Martin and relay the information. He promises to investigate, but cautions me not to get my hopes up too high. Anonymous tips are sometimes unreliable, he warns. But this one isn't. 2 weeks later, the news breaks. Sophia and Lucas's interior design business has been assessed for significant back taxes, penalties, and interest. The total amount is staggering, over $300,000. The same day the news breaks, Sophia shows up at the nursery unannounced. I'm working alongside Melissa, cataloging a new shipment of perennials when Sophia's luxury SUV pulls up the driveway, its engine roaring with impatience. "Mom," she shouts as she storms toward me, her face twisted in anger. "What have you done?" Melissa steps forward, her stance protective. "Mom, calm down. Grandma's working." "Stay out of this, Melissa." Sophia snaps, her words sharp. "This is between me and your grandmother." She turns back to me, eyes burning with fury. "Did you report us to the IRS?" "No," I reply calmly, keeping my voice steady. "But it sounds like someone did." "Don't play innocent with me," she sneers. "First the lawsuit, now this. You're trying to destroy us." "Sophia, I didn't report you to the IRS," I answer, my voice unwavering. "But if you've been evading taxes, that's on you, not me." She laughs bitterly, the sound harsh. "Of course. Saint Elizabeth, always perfect, always judging everyone else." "Mom, that's not fair," Melissa interjects, her voice pleading. "Grandma has every right to ask for the money you borrowed, to be repaid." Sophia whips around to face her daughter, her expression incredulous. "Are you taking her side?" After a moment of hesitation, Melissa replies, I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying, forget it. Sophia interrupts, her frustration boiling over. I see how it is. She's turned you against me, too. Sophia points a finger at me, her voice full of venom. This isn't over, Mother. Not by a long shot. As she spins her tires on the gravel driveway, Melissa turns to me, tears welling in her eyes. I'm sorry, Grandma. She's not usually like this, but she is. I gently pat her shoulder. It's all right, Melissa. Sophia has always been like this, entitled, manipulative, angry when she doesn't get her way. The difference now is that, for the first time, I'm not giving in. Let's get back to work, I say, offering a reassuring smile. These plants won't catalog themselves. 2 days after Sophia's confrontation at the nursery, an unexpected visitor arrives. Lucas, Sophia's husband. He looks haggard, his once confident demeanor replaced by a man clearly weighed down by stress. Elizabeth, he says, extending his hand formally. Thank you for seeing me. Of course, Lucas, I reply, nodding and gesturing to the small office I've set up in the corner of the greenhouse. Come in. He follows me inside, glancing around the nursery with what seems like genuine interest. You've done remarkable work here in just a few weeks. Thank you, I reply. Would you like some tea? No, thank you, he says quickly. I'll come straight to the point. Sophia doesn't know I'm here. I raise an eyebrow, surprised. In 20 years of marriage, I've rarely seen Lucas act independently of Sophia. I've come to offer a settlement, he continues, opening his briefcase and pulling out a folder. We can't pay back all the loans right now, but we can do this. He hands me the folder. Inside is a proposal. They would sign over their vacation property in Vale to me, valued at approximately $180,000, make monthly payments of $1,000 for 5 years to cover the remaining debt, and issue a formal apology for the misunderstanding at the family dinner. Why now? I ask, studying the document carefully. Lucas sighs deeply, suddenly looking every day of his 50 years. The tax situation. We're in trouble, Elizabeth. Deep trouble. We need to liquidate assets to pay the IRS, and this lawsuit is complicating things. I see, I murmur, considering his words. Sophia doesn't want to settle. She's convinced we can win the lawsuit. Lucas hesitates, then continues. Our attorney, he says we're likely to lose, given the documentation you have. And if it goes to trial, the judge could award you even more, including legal fees. I set the folder down on the desk, my gaze steady. Lucas, I appreciate you coming to me with this, but there's something missing from your proposal. What's that? He asks, his brow furrowing. An acknowledgement of the pattern, I reply. This isn't just about money. It's about decades of manipulation, disrespect, and taking advantage of me. Sophia threw a tin of cookies at me, Lucas, in front of the entire family, just because I wouldn't give away my property. Lucas, at least, has the decency to look ashamed. I know that was inexcusable, he admits, his voice heavy with regret. Yes, it was, I reply, my tone unwavering. And it wasn't just the incident at dinner. It was the culmination of a lifetime of similar behavior. I need to know that this is over, that Sophia understands she can't treat me like that anymore. What would you need to see? Lucas asks, looking at me expectantly. I take a moment to think. What do I really want here? Revenge? Respect? Yes, both of those, but more than that, I want peace on my terms. I want a real apology, I say, the words firm in my mouth. Not just for the incident at dinner, but for the pattern. And I want it in front of the same family members who witnessed the original offense. Lucas winces. Sophia won't like that. I'm sure she won't, I respond, but it's non-negotiable. I'll talk to her, he promises, his voice full of reluctant resolve. And Elizabeth, for what it's worth, I'm sorry too. I should have stopped her that night. I should have stopped a lot of things over the years. After Lucas leaves, I call Martin to explain the settlement offer. It's not a bad offer, Martin admits after a pause. The property value is close to what they owe on the larger loans. The monthly payments would cover the rest with interest if they keep them up. Do you think they will? I ask. Hard to say. The tax situation is putting pressure on them to resolve this quickly, but Sophia seems determined to fight. It might come down to whether Lucas can convince her. And if he can't, then we proceed with the lawsuit. Based on what I've seen, we have a strong case. I hang up, feeling strangely deflated. Despite everything, I don't want to destroy Sophia. She's still my daughter. I just want her to recognize what she's done wrong and make amends. Is that too much to ask? The next morning, I'm preparing to open the nursery for business. Our official first day accepting customers when Melissa calls. Grandma, I need to tell you something, she says, her voice tight with anxiety. Mom and Dad had a huge fight last night about the settlement offer. Lucas told her, yes, she was furious that he went behind her back. She's planning something, Grandma. I don't know what exactly, but she kept saying she'd take care of it her way. A chill runs down my spine. Thank you for warning me, Melissa. I'm sorry about all of this, she says miserably. If I'd never said I was interested in the nursery. No, I interrupt firmly. None of this is your fault, Melissa. Your mother's actions are her responsibility, not yours. After hanging up, I call Martin again and relay Melissa's warning. I'll alert courthouse security, Martin says, his tone concerned. If she's planning some kind of scene at the hearing next week. I don't think it's that, I say slowly, a realization dawning. I think she might try something at the nursery. Martin's voice sharpens. Elizabeth, if you believe Sophia might damage your property or harm you in any way, you need to call the police immediately. I don't think she'd hurt me physically, I reply. But the nursery, she's always resented my independence. And now that it's about to open and become successful. Do you have security cameras? He asks. No, not yet. It's on my list. Get them today, Martin advises. And stay alert. If anything happens, anything at all, call the police first, then me. I spend the day on edge, hypervigilant, jumping at every noise and scrutinizing every customer who walks through the gates. But the day passes without incident. The nursery's opening is a modest success, with steady foot traffic and several substantial sales. Exhausted but satisfied, I lock up for the night and head home, checking the rearview mirror repeatedly to ensure I'm not being followed. When I arrive, the house is dark and quiet, just as I left it that morning. As I prepare a simple dinner, I try to push aside the uneasy thoughts swirling in my mind. Surely, Sophia wouldn't actually do anything destructive. Despite our conflicts, she's still my daughter, the little girl I raised. There must be limits to her anger. I must be overthinking it. But I'm wrong. The call comes at 3:17 a.m., ripping me from a deep sleep. Miss Winters, this is Officer Kendrick with the police department. There's been an incident at your nursery. I scramble out of bed, my heart pounding, and within 20 minutes, I arrive at the nursery. The sight before me is chilling. Police cars with their lights flashing silently in the pre-dawn darkness. Officer Kendrick? I ask, spotting the young woman with a serious expression at the gate. I'm sorry, Miss Winters, she says, her voice grim. Someone broke in and did quite a bit of damage. She leads me through the property, her footsteps steady. The destruction is methodical and thorough. Plants are ripped from their beds and scattered across the paths. Soil is dumped from containers, and the newly repaired irrigation system is torn apart. In bright red spray paint across the greenhouse, a message is scrawled, "Selfish old witch." Do you have any idea who might have done this? Officer Kendrick asks, though her tone already hints at the answer. My daughter. I reply quietly, my voice barely above a whisper. Sophia Winters Dowell. Officer Kendrick holds up a designer scarf in an evidence bag. We found this. Does it look familiar? I glance at it and my stomach sinks. It's Sophia's. I gave it to her for Christmas 2 years ago. Yes, ma'am, the officer says. We'll need you to come to the station to make a formal statement. You should also document all the damage for your insurance company. I nod, still trying to process the scene before me. Weeks of hard work destroyed in a single night of rage. But oddly, I don't feel devastated. I feel resolved. Officer Kendrick, I say, my voice firm. I'd like to press charges. The news of Sophia's arrest spreads quickly through the family. By noon, my phone is ringing off the hook with relatives expressing shock, dismay, and in a few rare cases, quiet support. You had her arrested? William demands when he calls. Your own daughter? I didn't have her arrested. I reply, my patience wearing thin. William, she committed a crime and the police arrested her. There's a difference. This has gone too far, Elizabeth, he says. You need to drop the charges. No. I respond, my decision unwavering. I don't think I will. Around 2 p.m., Melissa arrives at the nursery, her eyes red from crying. Grandma, I'm so sorry, she says, her voice trembling. I had no idea she would do something like this. Together, we begin the painstaking process of cleaning up, salvaging what plants we can, and documenting the damage. Jaden arrives shortly after, having heard about the vandalism from his grandfather. This is messed up, Jaden says, his voice heavy as he surveys the destruction. Who would do this to plants? Someone very angry, I reply quietly. By evening, we've made progress, but the nursery is still a wreck. As we're preparing to leave, a car pulls into the driveway. It's Lucas, looking even more haggard than before. Elizabeth, he says, approaching cautiously, his hands raised in a gesture of peace. I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry about this. I don't hesitate. Did you know she was planning it? No, he shakes his head emphatically. I knew she was angry, but I never thought. This is beyond anything I could have imagined. They released her on bail. I say, my voice level. Is she at home? Yes, Lucas says, his voice heavy with concern. She's not well, Elizabeth. This whole situation, the lawsuit, the tax issues, now this arrest, it's breaking her, breaking us. I look at him steadily, my resolve firm. What do you want from me, Lucas? He pauses, his face lined with exhaustion. I don't know, he admits. I just know this can't continue. We're destroying each other. No, I correct him gently. Sophia is destroying herself, and she's trying to destroy me in the process. I won't let her. Lucas nods slowly, his expression a mix of resignation and understanding. I understand. For what it's worth, I've accepted your settlement terms, I say, my voice steady. All of them, including the public apology. I've told Sophia that's our only way forward. Whether she agrees or not, that's up to her. After he leaves, Melissa helps me lock up what's left of the nursery. What are you going to do, Grandma? She asks, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Rebuild, I reply simply, and wait for your mother to make her choice. The next morning, I wake up early, determined to continue the cleanup. To my surprise, there are already several cars parked in the lot. As I approach, I spot a group of people working in the garden beds. Janet Williams, David Chin, Lucas's former business partner, several neighbors from the retirement community, and even a few customers who had visited on opening day. What's all this? I ask, astonished. Janet straightens up from where she's replanting a bed of perennials. We heard what happened. Thought you could use some help. William doesn't know you're here, I say, still in shock. She smiles, her eyes twinkling. Riley, William doesn't need to know everything I do. David Chin approaches, carrying a flat of seedlings. I brought these from my home garden. Heirloom tomatoes. Thought they might help replace some of what was lost. As the day goes on, more people arrive. Friends, neighbors, even strangers who had heard about the vandalism on the local news. By sunset, the nursery is completely transformed. It's not back to its pre-vandalism state, but something new, something unexpected, a true community effort. As the last volunteers leave, promising to return the next day, I sit on the bench near the greenhouse, feeling overwhelmed by the outpouring of support. My phone rings. Elizabeth, Martin says, his voice a mix of relief and professionalism. I've just heard from Sophia's attorney. They want to settle all your terms, including the public apology. What changed? I ask, my curiosity piqued. The criminal charges, Martin replies. I suspect vandalism carries serious penalties, especially with the extent of the damage, and the publicity isn't helping their tax situation. I see, I murmur, reflecting on everything that's transpired. Do you want to proceed with the settlement? Martin asks. I look around at the nursery, the evidence of so many hands working together to rebuild what Sophia tried to destroy. I take a deep breath. Yes, I decide, the weight of my choice settling in. Let's end this. The family gathering is held at a neutral location, a private room at a local restaurant. The same relatives who witnessed Sophia throw the shortbread tin at me are present, along with Martin and Sophia's attorney. Sophia sits stiffly at the table, Lucas by her side. She looks smaller somehow. Her designer outfit hangs loosely on her frame, and her makeup does little to conceal the dark circles under her eyes. Martin reads the settlement terms aloud. The transfer of the Vale property to me, the monthly payments, the dropping of criminal charges contingent upon completion of the agreement, and, finally, the public apology. When he finishes, all eyes turn to Sophia. For a moment, I think she might refuse, might storm out as she has so many times before, but instead, she stands slowly, her hands gripping the edge of the table. Sophia Winters Dowell, she begins, her voice hesitant but clear. Apologize to my mother, Elizabeth Winters, for my behavior at the family dinner on April 15th, where I threw a container at her. She pauses, takes a deep breath, and continues, her voice losing its mechanical tone. I also apologize for the vandalism at her nursery, which was inexcusable. She looks up from the paper, meeting my eyes directly for the first time. I apologize for the pattern of disrespect I have shown my mother over the years, and for the financial burden I placed on my parents through loans that I did not repay. The room is silent, and for the first time in what feels like forever, I see a flicker of sincerity in Sophia's eyes. I'm sorry, Mom. I was wrong. The room falls silent. I study my daughter's face, searching for the familiar signs of manipulation I've come to expect. But all I see is exhaustion, and perhaps, just maybe, a flicker of genuine remorse. Thank you, Sophia. I say quietly, my voice steady. I accept your apology. The legal documents are signed, hands are shaken, and just like that, the conflict that has consumed our family for months is officially over. As people begin to leave, Sophia hesitates before approaching me. Mom, she starts, her voice tentative. I know I have no right to ask this, but is there any way we can rebuild our relationship? Not now, but someday. I pause, considering her words carefully. That depends on you, Sophia. Words are easy. It's actions that matter. She nods, absorbing my response. I understand. For what it's worth, she adds, I am getting help. Therapy. It's part of the plea deal, but I think I need it anyway. I think that's wise, I reply. And Melissa seems happy working at the nursery, she continues. She talks about it all the time. She's a good worker, I acknowledge. She has potential. Sophia smiles faintly. She gets that from you, I think. Not me. As I drive home from the restaurant, I reflect on the journey of the past few months. From the moment the shortbread tin hit my chest to this tentative peace, I've changed in ways I never expected. I've discovered strength I didn't know I had, set boundaries I should have set decades ago, and found a community I never realized was there for me. The nursery is flourishing now, 6 months after the vandalism. Ironically, the damage brought publicity that attracted new customers. Melissa continues to work with me 3 days a week, showing a real talent for plant propagation. Jaden has been promoted to assistant manager, and I've even started teaching gardening classes for seniors, sharing the knowledge I've accumulated over a lifetime. Sophia and I are not close, and perhaps we never will be again, but we are civil. She makes her monthly payments on time, sends birthday and holiday cards, small steps. Sometimes, when I'm working in the greenhouse, I think about that family dinner, the shock of the tin hitting my chest, the rage that finally pushed me to stand up for myself. I wonder what might have happened if I had found my voice decades earlier, if I'd refused to be the family doormat from the start. But then I look around at my nursery, my dream, my creation, my legacy, and I realize that maybe everything happened exactly when it needed to. At 72, I've finally learned that it's never too late to bloom.